Welcome to The Bright Side of 50, the podcast that celebrates life, wisdom, and the vibrant journey that can be ours when we embrace the second half of life. I am your host, Carla Palmer. Together, we will explore the stories, memorable experiences, and the teachable moments that make life after 50 truly incredible. Now, let's get into today's topic, shall we? Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Bright Side of 50 with Carla Palmer. You guys, I am so excited for today's episode. We are going to be talking about Was It Love at First Sight? And we have Mrs. Karen Cherry Brown with us and Mr. Kenneth Brown. Thank you guys so much for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Our pleasure.
Yes. So Karen has a podcast and she posted a link to an episode that she did with her husband. And I love the episode so much. It really resonated with me as somebody who's single and been single for a really long time. And Karen's story just resonated. And I said, I have to bring them on to tell this story on my podcast. So I thank you for saying yes, because you had already told the story on your podcast. But I really think that there are some women and men in my audience who could really benefit from your story.
Well, great.
So if you could just introduce yourselves and what you do, and then we'll get into the story.
Okay, so you said I'm Karen Cherry Brown, and I actually had been, single probably for close to 30 years before Ken and I got.
I heard that.
Right, before Ken and I got together. I'm retired. I am thank God, a successful business owner. I have a healthcare consulting company as well as a property management company. I am now a city council member. Look, I retired and then took on being a city council member for my city, and now a wife. So yeah, loving life.
Loving life. And you have your own podcast too.
Oh, and have my own podcast. I also have a documentary streaming through Tubi, Prevailing Through Pain.
What?
Yeah. Actually, my documentary, I wrote a book, Chicken Soup to Poop, which is my autobiography. Yeah, right? And a producer from New York read my book about 6 years ago and asked me if he could follow me my life to do a documentary. He said, I understand your book and what you're, as far as trying to encourage, support, empower other women. And so we did the documentary. It took about 3 years because he followed me my life in Oklahoma, California, Texas. And I'd gotten, positive feedback from the documentary. Thank you so much for putting it all out there. And so I decided, I said, we all have a story. And I started a podcast because of the documentary. I said, that's just one story, my story. And so that's what prompted me to doing the podcast, have other women share their stories.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And you've written books too.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know. Wow. Okay. Mr. Brown?
Well, I'm not quite as interested as Karen. Actually, my job is to follow her around and make sure she doesn't get in trouble. But my background is actually, I'm a systems engineer, and I'm kind of tinkering between retiring, and Karen and I are looking into some business adventures together. So pretty much I just follow her around and do whatever she says do at this time. So
He's learning so well. That's why I married him after 3 years. He finally got it.
It sounds like you married well. Let's tell everybody how you all met.
Sure, go ahead, Karen.
So, yeah, Ken's sister calls me one day and asked me how my love life was. And although I had known his sister for some years, I knew about 3 other brothers, but I didn't know about the 3 brothers. So she has 3 brothers, her mom, but they have different dads. And then Ken and 2 other brothers and her share the same dad. Well, I didn't know anything about the brothers, Ken's that side. And she calls me one day, how's your love life? And I'm like, fine. So she says, I was in Dallas a couple of months ago for a funeral. And I said, I saw that. And I asked who died. She said, one of her sister-in-laws. And I'm like, who? Because I knew her 3 sister-in-laws in East Texas. And she says, oh no. And so she tells me about these 3 other brothers. And I'm like, Beverly, I'm so sorry to hear that, But what does it have to do with me? Because the way she was kind of talking, I'm thinking, I know she's not trying to introduce me to a widower. So yeah, that's my version of the story.
Yeah.
So Ken's version.
So my version is this. Karen and I, as she stated, I was a recent widow when her and I met. My sister constantly called me every day, say, I got this friend you need to meet, you need to meet. Well, I'm not really interested in dating. I'm still grieving and really wasn't interested in dating at the time. But my sister was persistent. I said, okay, I'll give her a call. No, you need to call her now. She's not busy. She's not doing anything. She's expecting your call. So she don't put this thing together. So I give Karen a call, and lo and behold, we must have talked that first day for over an hour. But
Really?
yes, so the next day we
I have
talked
a charming
again.
personality.
Yeah, right. That part. Yeah, that part. But,
Was it FaceTime? Was it FaceTime?
No. You know what? And this Negro had nerve to say, can you send me a picture? And I'm like, no, I'm not sending you a picture of me. You know?
Oh my gosh, I love you for that because I hate that too.
well, yeah. But the next day and the next week we talk, and I say, hey, why don't we get together? So she's into fitness. I am too, but at the time I had kind of fallen off because I'm going through this process. And she suggests, well, let's meet in the park. We can walk in the park. And
Okay.
So two reasons, Carla, because it's COVID. And I'm not trying to, I'm really not trying to meet him. So I'm definitely not going to put myself in any kind of harm's way to meet some man that I'm not really trying to meet. So I thought, well,
Right.
if we're outside and we're walking, and so he agreed at first and then had the nerve to say, well, I'm not going to chase you around a park.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so did you think you guys were gonna run, Kenneth?
No, so I was gullible, right? I was gullible and I had agreed, okay, we can meet in the park. And as I thought about it, I said, heck no. She talks about how she walks about,
Right.
No, 6 miles.
6 miles a day. So
Oh, just 6?
I imagine a 6 mile walker and, walking pretty fast going around a park. And I
Yeah.
said, but hell, that's not a way to get to know anybody. So we decided on, why don't we just have a picnic in the park? And
Oh, that's nice.
it turned out to be nice.
Bro, barbecue though. What?
Oh, that's wonderful.
Because this is what he said. He said, "Well, okay, well, I'll bring food because I said we can sit at this table at a park in my city because he lived in another city, And I'm thinking, I said you can sit on one side on one end, I'll be on the other side on the other end, COVID, right?
Because of COVID.
Yeah. So he calls me back after we had set the time up. He calls me back and says, well, I'm a man that never had to worry about what to cook, what to fix, and so why don't you just bring something? Now I got attitude. I said, just whatever you want to eat, just bring that in some more. And Carla, I have attitude because I'm thinking, oh no, I don't like to cook. You asked me, and now you telling me to bring no. So.
Right. And this is a first date, and you know how we were raised. Like men set everything up
And then
and
he
take
brings
care of
some
it.
barbecue.
Well, about that. About that.
Aw.
So she's a picky eater, and I'm asking, so what would you like? I'll just eat whatever you eat. So I got myself a sandwich,
Okay.
and we shared the sandwich, but about 4 hours later, we decided we'd part. I mean, we spent the whole afternoon.
You guys were there 4 hours?
Yeah, or longer. We spent the whole afternoon in the park.
But wait, Carla, my problem with the barbecue was I had on this really cute white top.
Don't tell
And the
me.
sleeves
Oh.
were bell sleeves, and so I'm like, now I'm gonna tell you why he didn't want to leave.
Yeah. Tell the host.
I was looking real cute, right?
What you have on?
Now he says I had
Well,
he said I had on booty shorts. They wasn't booty shorts.
Did you?
Oh, they was short.
You was trying to show him what he was about to get into, huh?
No, I just wanted, I knew he was lonely, and So I just want to cheer him up and win part company.
Yeah. Well, she cheered me up. So not only were they shorts, and as I
Okay.
described them, they were booty shorts, and she had on. I don't know how you ladies, describe your heels, whether a half inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, but they was kind of tall, and so those shorts
Karen,
looked a
you really
little
showed up.
shorter than they probably was, and yeah, so she had me. She had me. But
So you liked what you saw. You liked the conversation. 4 hours
I
later.
like what I saw. I liked the conversation, but we really was kind of doing it for my sister. So at the end, we do our little
We were
photo
gonna do
op
it and go our separate ways.
and go our separate ways, and everybody's just happy.
Were you both really thinking that it was just for the sister?
Okay, I'm gonna tell you the truth. When he pulled up in a nice BMW, and I said, "Nice car,
And
bro."
he's nice looking.
But I said he's too old for me,
Why? Because of the gray?
Carla. And actually I'm 2 years older than him. But I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah, so that 30 years has really messed up her mind, right? Because
Okay.
I mean, she must have went from 20 to 70 and called me somewhere in between and called me old. So I don't know who she was dating or what she was dating or any of that stuff. In order for her to call me old, later we find out she's older than I am.
but the thing with me and older guys, because having a business and trying to date during that time, I would hear older guys would be more like comparing. I'm used to being the breadwinner, and I'm used to my woman doing this, and I'm used to.
Yeah.
And I'd say okay, and I'd gone about my business. But younger guys, they were so busy trying to build their own career that they weren't focused on me maybe having more or me cooking something for them, because they were, they were trying to build that. But that was my problem with older guys. And like I said, when I looked at him, I was like, I can already tell. He think I'm gonna put on an apron.
So, but
Well, and he already
that's the
started it
early
talking
days,
about
yeah.
bring something to the barbecue, to the picnic.
Right?
But
Yeah.
that was our beginning, and we've kind of stuck since then. But yeah, we did the photo op, and a couple of days went by. I don't think we spoke to each other after a couple of days, and then we set up another date.
Who set up the other day? Who reached out?
Well,
Did I reach?
no.
Okay, who reached out, and what did it sound like? What was the actual language? Because we get into our feelings about that.
Because I work, even though I work from home, and she was free. So typically she would call me because she didn't have anything else to do during the day, and she would just call me hanging out by the pool, and and we'd engage in these conversations, and they just turned out to long conversations. Then we eventually, because of her eating style, we really didn't go out to eat much or anything like that, even though I was cautious about what I ate, but she's serious about it. So
That's funny, Carla, because I don't
it's-
remember. I really don't remember how the next call. I can't imagine me being the one to initiate it. And as he said, see, that's funny how our memories are of one, because my part-time job was me working out during the day. So whenever I would wake up, then I'd go to the gym, and I'd be in the gym for about 3 hours, or either I was out running, outside running.
Yeah.
I don't remember. You know what I can remember next with us, when I said I'm not going to be bothered with him, because it wasn't smooth sailing from the beginning.
No, it wasn't. It really wasn't.
He had the nerve to say, can you, when he invited me over, because it was the park, and then he invited me over, that's right, for dinner, right? And so I brought the food over. Actually, I said, well, I'll bring food over. And we sat out on his patio. He had some pound cake, some peach cobbler, and
dinner.
pecan pie,
dinner.
right? So
For a fitness person?
he had all this food, but see, remember, he was still a grieving widower, right? And so his sister, when his sister wanted me to meet him, she was saying, he goes, he's an engineer, and the women at the church, they're going to start trying. And I'm like, that ain't nothing to do with me. But anyway,
Right.
so then I kind of saw this like machoism a little bit when I was over there, because he's bragging about what the women have brought him, right?
Well,
And so,
it wasn't
but
quite.
wait a
like
minute.
that.
I asked him, I said, because he said, well, Bev says you're not really a sweetie, and I know you're into you watch what you eat. So I said, cut me a piece of pound cake, little piece of pound cake, little piece of pound pie, little piece. So he's looking at me like, really? So I kind of got, I don't know if you know, remember Donna Jean, but I had a little Donna Jean in me.
Yes,
So
yes.
I said, I asked for a little bit of each one, right? So I was like, well, tell Sister Pecan Pie. He said, tell Sister Peach Cobbler she need to put a little more cinnamon in there.
No.
Dry. Because I'm like, if you think that's going to encourage me to go in the kitchen and bake.
No.
So then he says, after that, another day or two, he asked me about cleaning. His house getting a little dirty. Can you help me with that? I said, I sure can. He's like, really? So
You
I
did?
go to my phone, click, click, click. So I said, did you get that? And he was like, what is that? And I said, my housekeeper's number. You can contact her. She'll be happy to have another client.
I
And
love
I'm
it.
like, and I'm being empathetic because he had been married all those years.
Sure.
Yeah, well, so the story is that did take place, but she brought over a dinner. She was actually
Okay.
my sister Pecan Pie sister. She brought me over a meal that lasted at least 3 days, right? It was good.
Okay.
It lasted about at least 3 days, but then after that, COVID actually set in. I mean,
It got worse, yeah.
COVID
Things that
actually got worse. So when I buried my late wife in March, 2 weeks later, the entire country shut down. And so.
And we met 2 months after,
Wow.
May. We met in May.
We met in May. And so, yeah, I was still grieving, and people were still being cordial and nice to me. And so she come over, and yeah, I had all this food, but she brought food, and it was good. It was good. But yeah, so we met in the midst of COVID, in the heart of COVID. I mean, I actually had to have
Okay.
my barber come to my house. That's how bad it was to groom me. So it was some trying times. It really was.
I have a question, and if it's too personal, let me know. Did she die suddenly, or had she been sick?
No, she died suddenly. I had went off to work, which I typically didn't do. I work from home. Actually, COVID didn't have any impact on my work environment. I've been working from home for over 15 years. But this particular Monday, I got up at 6 o'clock. She got up with me, prepared breakfast, and had even started doing house chores. And on my way home at about 11 o'clock in the morning, I'm calling, because I was going to meet her for lunch. I wanted to meet her for lunch. She didn't know that it was going to take place, but I got no answer. And when I got home, her car was in the driveway, kind of funny. I run in the house, all upstairs looking for her, and I get no answer. So I go out to the car, and the car was running. I'm still looking for her. But lo and behold, she had an aneurysm in the car and went into a coma, and she never came out.
Oh man, I'm so sorry to hear
No,
that.
she wasn't sick or anything like that. It was sudden. I mean, quite a surprise, because that March 1st, we had spent our entire day in church and in church service, and even had an afternoon service that we had attended. And everything was just fine until it wasn't.
Yeah. How did you convince yourself that after meeting Karen and seeing how lovely she was, that it was time to move on and get into another relationship? Because you've been married for what, over 25, 30
No,
years?
I was married for 37 years. I was married for 37 years
Wow.
when my late wife passed. And I was a believer. I am a believer.
Okay.
And when I met
Yes.
Karen, I believe that everybody deserved happiness. And it's so many
Yes.
times that I've seen widow and widowers that spend the rest of their lives alone and lonely. And when I met
Yes.
Karen, her and I, we just had so much fun. I won't exactly say we click, but
Yeah.
we had some things in common. We could have a decent conversation, and still in the midst of COVID, right? We wasn't going out. No one was going out. As a matter of
Yeah.
fact, even one Juneteenth, we had to go to this restaurant, bring the food back, and still, still locked in. Now this is June, and so we clicked and we continued to see each other. And next thing I know, she's at my house 3 days, or I'm at her house 3 days, and
Oh.
we just continued to grow from that point.
Hey, sis. Hey, I just wanted to take a moment to ask you, have you subscribed to The Bright Side of 50 with Carla Palmer? If you have not, could you please take a moment, if you like the podcast, take a moment now to hit the subscribe button so that you become a subscriber. Turn on your notifications so that you're notified when a new episode drops, okay? Also, follow me on Instagram. I am The Bright Side of 50 over there on Instagram too. Thank you so much. Now I'll let you get back to the episode.
Carla, it was some growing pains in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
His family.
there were some growing pains because I think me being by myself for so long, and even though I dated, it was the thought of wondering how what somebody was doing or how they were.
Absolutely.
It was different for me because I was used to just me, and so learning how to consider somebody else's feelings, for lack of better words, was a challenge. And I think, and Ken was spoiled to me, and that's okay. That was, when I met his late wife's sisters, I said to them, I said that she had to have been a good woman. And first, because that was their first introduction of me after 6 months of their sister dying. So COVID's going on. So where'd this woman come from? So that
Right.
was a hard pill for people to swallow. But I had said to his sister, one of his sister-in-laws, that Irma must have been a good woman, and she said she was, and then I said, because they say behind every good woman there's a good man, and I said, so she had to put a whole lot of work, into that man because him being a good man, a provider, and shiver at every point of what that stands for, but still it was kind of, we're both Sagittarius.
Our birthdays are a week apart.
And
Oh,
it was
that's
still,
nice.
bumping heads for me a little bit about what I felt he thought, I should be doing as a woman. And I'm like, and I'm silly. It's like I'm very professional. I'm definitely a chameleon. And Whitney Houston's old song is a cliche, I'm every woman, because I am. I can be in the boardroom, I can be in the ghetto, and either way,
Absolutely.
I'm gonna represent.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so I think for Ken, some of that was a little difficult at first because I'm a people person. I don't meet strangers, and if there's a way that I can, support somebody that's serious about doing something, I'm giving back because so many people poured into me, and that's just, what I believe in. And I think initially for Ken, because he and his late wife, it was pretty much, the two of them, but he had to share me with a whole lot of people, and I think that was challenging at first.
Yeah, there was a whole lot of people, but it wasn't that challenging. but yeah, that I think our problem is that we both were so independent.
Yes.
And that was the real big challenge. We both were used to those things that we were used to, right? I was used to controlling what I did, how I did it, and the same way with her. Even though I was married, my late wife and I, we just did what we wanted to do. collectively, don't get me wrong, it wasn't like outside the house or anything like that, but if we wanted to shop, we went shopping. We wanted to travel, we went traveling. And Karen and I, we have a lot of similarities as it relates to being independent like that. So I think we both were independent a lot in that sense, but there had to be a lot of some type of
Coming to a mutual agreement.
yeah, because neither one of us wanted to give, and both of us wanted to be number one. And as she said, she had been single for 30 years, and I had been married for 37 years. So we both were pretty much the center of attention, lack of a better.
Yeah.
Karen, have you been married before?
Had I been married before? I got married in 1980, and then I got married again in 1989, and then I quit.
Yeah.
But since we got over those hurdles, it's been good. It's been interesting, but yes, quite challenging and very exciting. Some days,
Some days, yeah.
some days we.
You know, for me as a single woman, and I've been single for, gosh, I don't know, 14 years, 15 years, a while. And I cannot see getting together with somebody for the long time and like living together and all of that. Because, you know, you like create your space to kind of fit you. And so I think that's what's kind of scary to me. I mean, I go on dates now and then, but nothing serious. What advice would you give to me or somebody like me?
I think for me, being a widower, I think for me, and having that companion for as long as I did, and I thought about this, Carla. I was active in my church, and I thought about this. I said, wow, you know, I've been married for so long. I'm a single individual now. I'm going to do all those things that I did not do in my early years. But then I realized that being a child of God, that we don't act in every way. And so even though I thought about that, I could not do that. And so even when I proposed to Karen and we had started seeing each other, and we were around each other a lot. And I'd sold my home. Well, I didn't sell my house. I was going to sell my house, but had moved in with Karen. And
Okay.
I said, no, before we go any further, I had proposed to her. I said, because I'm not going to
You didn't
live
want to
any
shack
kind of
up?
way. No, I wasn't going to do that. And she said I needed some commitment as well. So we both spiritually was on the same page. And so
right.
by having that commonality, it made getting together easy. But if I had it to do all over again, I would do it all over again, because I really don't believe, as much as we want to think that we can, I really don't believe that we were placed here to die alone and to be alone. And her being a people person and myself being a people person, I just could not imagine. I can't imagine not having that type of interaction with other people.
So, Carla, for me, the advice that I would give a person, because being by myself for so long, and like I said, being in failed marriages is funny, because people ask me, women would ask me, so because you were married and they were either getting ready to get married or just got married, what advice would you give me? And I tell them, don't be like me, because I'm divorced. And so with that being said, I think it's definitely communicating in every way. Women, and I'll say this because I had an aunt that used to tell me, and I know this is TMI probably, but she used to talk about, you know, whenever you get into a sexual relationship with a guy, she said, you know, fake your orgasm because it makes them feel better. And so I'm like, make them feel better. But so I'm saying for me, it was things like, no, I always want to be I want to be truthful, and I want you to be truthful, even if the truth hurts. And so I say my advice would be that have those, as people say, hard conversations as far as what are your likes and dislikes, and don't make their likes your likes. And I say that because I remember my daughter was telling me that when she dated her husband, her ex-husband now, she said, well, we had so much in common. I said, well, what did you have in common? Because they were nothing alike. She said, well, I told him that I like this and I like that and I like this, that, and the other. She said, and he said, me too. And I said, really? So he told you what you wanted to hear. So no, like I said, even if it's writing down on a piece of paper, your likes and your dislikes separately, and then you sitting down and looking like, and truthful, just be truthful. And as the pastor said today, what is it? Conflicts. That, there's nothing wrong with having conflicts. Mm-hmm. Just be able to talk about them. Mm-hmm. and if that person is your person, you'll work through those conflicts. I was really scared to take that plunge being 60 something. I'm like, okay, I've done a whole lot and enjoy my independence, but like Ken said, and this is another thing that we almost didn't work out on, because when he said, asked me about being with somebody, I never thought about getting married again. I said, well, I guess, no one wants to, what did I say, die, be old alone or something.
Nobody wants to die alone.
Die alone?
That's what I say.
Yeah.
No one wants to die alone.
And I forget what it was that you said, but he was saying that I was old. So something about, and I was like, oh. But it's the truth, it's like you work really hard for both of us, worked really hard all of our lives. And so, and that we wouldn't have known that we had a special somebody out there if we hadn't taken that, that chance. Mm-hmm. Which, mm-hmm. like I said, we were skeptical, and that's why I said, don't be afraid. It's just time. If you go on a date with somebody and you feel like they aren't that somebody, well, that's okay. Yeah. But I do believe that there is someone for everyone. Don't try to make it work, but that person, if you're being honest with who you are and that person is being honest with who they are, you might have a lot more in common than you don't.
Mm-hmm. And I think to piggyback on what Karen said is that some of those conversations are hard conversations. And mm-hmm. when you like an individual, for whatever reason you like that individual, you still have to have those difficult conversations, even if, as she said, even if it means risk losing that individual, right? Because you don't want to be a yes woman or a yes man and find out 2, 3, 5 years later, this darn person is getting on my last nerve, right? Because you faked the whole thing. As we heard also together today, you've avoided those conflict conversations because every conversation is not going to be an easy conversation, especially at this age. Every conversation is not an easy conversation because when we both met, we both were established and we were used to certain things. It's not like I was 20 or she was 22 or 21 and I'm trying to woo her over or she's trying to woo me over. Look, we're adults, we're established, and we know what we want and we know what we like. And so at this age, for anybody that's going to date at this age, honesty is the best policy, and sometimes it may hurt. I mean, we've had these conversations before, and I'm going, wow, you know what? But didn't keep us separated, and it didn't keep us apart. Actually made us better by having those conversations. And so we're here today because of those difficult conversations that a lot of people avoid having.
Yeah, I could tell by the way you all interact with each other that you don't hold back much. I mean, there's love, I'm sure, in the delivery, but I can tell that you all are both very honest, and Karen's probably a little bit more blunt than Ken.
Yeah, she could use some dulling.
But it's really, really beautiful, and I just love the story, and I'm glad that you all are on here and looking so beautiful
Oh, thank
and
you so much.
just wealthy all the way around, and I just think people need to see more of this. It's so much foolishness out on the internet. So much foolishness, fake relationships, people not being honest about, their existence and how they're doing life. And I just think it's important that people see this and people hear that it's not always easy, but it's worth it. And I appreciate you being here. Is there anything that I didn't ask you? Oh, I know something. Both of you, to each of you. Karen, how have you grown and evolved since you've been with Ken? And then Ken, I'd like to hear that from you too.
For me,
Like one thing.
patience.
Mm.
That's my one thing. She said one.
Oh, one thing. Um, and I actually I'm gonna have to echo that as well, because there again, both of us are pretty much is pretty much spoiled. She did her own darn thing, and I did my own thing. And to have patience with one another, that took a whole lot of work, right? Because, yeah, patience would be it. At this age, it's patience.
Did you talk about health and all of that before you got married and just have a clean bill of health, or if there was something wrong, that was all on the table too, right? Because those are conversations we have to have in midlife as well.
We did, because we both probably had, it was like funny, like the doctor's appointments around, we both do annual appointments. And so we had those conversations.
And I would go to the doctor, and I'd come back and I'd brag about my bill of health and things of that nature. But for the most part, for Karen, I know she has, and I've been a fitness person for over 30 years. As a matter of fact, I have a gym membership now. So fitness is important to us, health is important to us, and to stay on top of that is very important to us. As a unit, we even work out together some days, even though we try and get that me time, but we love our fitness.
So, Carla, one of the things that I always said after I got established, if I ever got remarried, that we would have to do a prenup. And so
Yes.
that was a conversation. It's like trying to find the right time, because I was going to have the conversation, but trying to find the right time. And I didn't even try to have any anticipation of one way or another how he would respond. I kind of felt how he responded was going to determine what our next step
Right.
would be. But, I was pleasantly surprised with how he responded to that. Because like Ken said, he's done well in life too. But I just kind of feel like that's something that's, that's important. But he has, even with him, he has children. I don't have, I've never had children of my own. You heard me say my daughter. But I inherited her in a divorce. She just won't go away. So, look, she was 14 and she's 42 now.
That's right. I love that.
But
So,
that conversation that we did have, that conversation was easy for me, and the reason it was easy for me is because I didn't have any motives, right? There was nothing hidden. I loved her for who she is, and regardless of all the business and all of the things that she have going on, didn't matter to me. That was not what I was interested in. I was interested in her, and so
Those booty shorts.
that's what. That's what it was.
Maybe I need to get me some booty shorts.
That's what it was.
Karen, can you tell everybody how to find your podcast?
KarenCherry.me. If you go to that link, KarenCherry.me, and you'll be able to find my books, my podcast, my documentary.
I'll put that all in the show notes too. And then, Ken, is there anything you would like for people to know about you and where to find you?
No, I'm great. I'm not quite as popular as my wife is. As a matter of fact, she came to our church and she just took over all my friends in my church with her popularity. But We're great. So we're great. Thank you.
You really are. You really are. Thank you so much for your
Thank
time today and
you.
your patience. We're getting started with the podcast with our technical difficulties, but I appreciate you so much. I can't wait to get the episode out. And I love you both for saying yes. So thank you so
Thank you
much.
and
Thank you
good
for
luck.
having us,
It's always
Carla.
good seeing you on social media, so keep up the good work.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye. And if you would like to follow the podcast, please do hit the subscribe button or hit the follow button if you're on Spotify. And I would love to stay connected with you also on social media. So you can find me at the Bright Side of 50 on Instagram, and you can find me at the Bright Side of 50 on YouTube as well. And I look forward to staying connected. Okay, take care, everybody. Bye bye.